similar interest. It's just
All right, here we are, Friday, January 18th.
Sure. I'll go with that.
Yeah, it sounds like check your calendars.
January
As, al
19.
as always, check your facts, folks.
Check your facts.
We've
We
said
are.
this as a disclaimer. We are here, one Jeff Hansen with my illustrious co-host Casey Inslee,
How we doing, guys?
the feet and legs of the program, I think. We always have a little bit of a kickoff to the show.
Let's introduce Spencer before we do
So
this.
we've got our cups up and we have a guest that's going to join us in this cheers. And dear friend, local
Long
rad
time.
guy, basically a badass. Go ahead and say something about yourself, Spencer. Let them
Thank
know.
you, guys. I don't know if I'm a badass, but I'm happy to be here, and I'm really honored to be sitting here with you guys, and I love chatting with you. And I really want to take this shot, so let's fucking
Let's
do it.
go.
He's like, we'll start there.
Go. All right,
let's
here
get
we
after
go.
it. You can see why he's a guest on the show, a kindred spirit.
Yes.
As
Let's take this fucking shot.
He is. Let's get busy.
So Friday, this is the tail end of Aspen Gay Ski Week.
Now known as Aspen Ski Week.
Just ski week.
They've dropped the gay.
Have they?
They have.
Wow.
Yep. I just had this conversation.
Oh well. Let's let Spencer kind of that's probably not a real good run-in for Spencer. Spencer is not gay. But Spencer, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you from? How long you been here?
Tell him to host the show. I was like, that's a lot to
That's
do.
okay.
I'll take over.
Let's go.
Probably could
I might
actually.
get bored
Let's
after about
go.
30 seconds. No, my name's Spencer Delaney. I'm originally from California. Grew up in Northern California, the Bay Area. I'm a huge athlete. My dad was a pro athlete, baseball fan, football fan. Moved to Michigan when I was like 12.
Okay,
12 years old.
that's what I was going to ask. Is how long were you in Michigan?
Yeah, so about 12 years in California, 12 years in Michigan, went to high school, college out there. And then got sick of college.
So Big Blue
Didn't wanna do
national
that.
champs? Is
No,
that
no,
on you?
No. Go green.
Go green.
Oh, Stady.
Baby boy.
Yeah.
Oh my
All
God, they've been
But you had to like watching Michigan get it done.
no,
That's not how it works.
Really?
That's like watching
Okay.
Auburn beat Georgia or Alabama. Like you don't.
Really?
It doesn't work.
I'll tell you what, it was nice to see the Big Ten win a national championship instead of the
That's
SEC
where I-
or the Pac-12 or anybody
Yeah.
else.
That's where I was at. I grew up in Champaign, Illinois. That's the University of Illinois, Fighting Illini, Big Ten school. When I saw Michigan get it done, I was like,
Yeah.
it's a Big Ten team. Like I just like seeing the Big Ten get it done.
Yeah.
It means nothing for Illinois though, because I'm no chance.
Well, I mean, my grandmother's sister's husband, who I've always called my uncle, but he won the Rose Bowl for the University of Illinois back in like the 40s or the 50s.
How many generations did you just go back to pull out a national?
Whatever. You know what? It rocks. It has been done before.
Granted, I have 0 national titles in my lineage, so all right, we'll take it. It's fine.
So Spencer, thanks for sitting in and
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
what
Here we are in Aspen at the base of the mountain, the bottom.
yeah, should we give some shout outs real quick? Rhino's Pizza in Basalt, Brass Anvil Steakhouse in Carbondale, Silver City Saloon up here in Aspen. That's all my wife, so I'm gonna toot my horn on that a little bit.
Shout out to Wrench Face Motor Company.
Wrench Face Motors, that's my business also.
I think those guys are churning out custom vehicles. If
Yeah.
you're looking for, what is that, a Jeep Comanche? Is that what
It's,
truck called? What is that?
So it's a Jeep J10.
J10.
So it's a Jeep pickup truck.
Mhm.
77 or 55,000-ish original miles, fully restored, frame off, everything. It's a badass truck.
Sweet truck. Sweet ride.
Yeah, came out really nice.
So if you're interested, get at us.
Yeah, buy my shit.
We gotta air this.
So-
Put these online.
Come buy my shit. Yeah, daddy needs some shoes. So topic today, let's talk about music, man. I know last podcast we dove into some conspiracies and stuff, but I want a little bit more time to research and have some accuracy on some of these conspiracies that we brought up in the last podcast. So let's take a break from that today.
So as not to be conspirators,
Exactly, as not to be conspirators.
informers.
Well said there, Jeffrey.
You guys had me on a week late then. That's my forte.
This-
Well, we'll bring it back. We'll bring
Nice.
it back.
Nice. We played our strengths of our guests.
Yes, absolutely. So music is it's a big deal for me. It's a big deal for Jeff. I know it's a big deal for Spencer.
Especially live music.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
But also too, like
Era's,
you play music, you play the guitar.
guitar hack for sure. Yeah.
Spencer plays the guitar. I am attempting to learn. It's bad. It's
The
real
attempts
bad.
are-
Yeah, I need to attempt harder.
I would just suggest adjusting your training window.
Yeah,
Because
just don't try and play at 2 a.m. blackout drunk.
When you practice, not necessarily.
Well, and who knows? I might be really good, and then if I ever perform someday, I'm gonna have to get 2 a.m. blackout drunk to be able to play the guitar.
The only fingers I can do.
Yeah. Which
So festivals.
yeah, and I'm totally okay with that. By the way, I'm not.
Not judgy as we launch the career.
So did either one? I played the drums in high school for a couple semesters.
First chair clarinet over here.
Clarinet. Did you play?
First chair.
First chair.
Marching band, played the drums, and grew up playing the drums as well. My dad was a percussionist in a jazz band and a singer.
Oh
So
wow!
I grew up in his footsteps.
So you grew up in music, like
Oh,
you
yeah.
came from a music family.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Some of my first memories are going to my dad's concerts. He sang, plays percussion,
What kind of music?
jazz music.
Jazz music?
Yeah, jazz music, and he would sing covers of soul, old school.
Sure.
The oldies, Otis Redding.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Where was this? Like what part of the country?
This is in California, San Jose.
Oh, San Jose.
San Francisco as well. He would tour
Pretty
that
soulful
whole
up there. There's a lot of music in NorCal.
back in the day. Yeah, absolutely. It
Mm.
was awesome.
I don't really think of that as being like a music hub. When I think of music, I think of like, Mississippi, I think of Chicago, I think of Detroit, I think of
Well,
New Orleans.
if you're thinking about blues and rock for sure.
Well, and also just being a Midwestern guy, so I always just like know the Midwestern and
Yeah.
Southern like cities that have music, but I don't know shit about California.
Yeah.
What year were you born?
88.
88.
Yeah.
So I was born in 79. And I grew up in like the
79.
SoCal grunge, easy or with your drums. I grew up around like the SoCal like rock movement, like Metallica was coming out of San Francisco at that time.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah.
know. I didn't know Metallica was from there.
They just did their 40th anniversary in like 2020. It was like during COVID, 2021. So I think they like officially recognized themselves launching as a band in like early 80s. But like
So did you ever go see them?
I did the 40th anniversary.
But you never saw them when they were like an up and coming.
No,
Gotcha.
no. I was like not really into that kind of music.
When I
That was
go ahead.
different when I was a kid. When I was a kid, like grew up conservative in the Ozarks, and it was more like Michael Jackson radio play. Like you couldn't get explicit CDs.
Sure.
I finally got my hands on like a Dr. Dre, the Chronic CD,
Hell yeah.
but like could only
Amazing album.
but could only listen to it at my friend's house.
Sure.
You know, and it was like we had to be like in the room with the noise down, with the door closed, because like
Walkman.
Yeah.
because he had the explicit version.
Sure.
Because it was like bitches and shit, but hoes and tricks.
Oh, I remember my two aunts and my uncle, and they're actually my mom's cousins. But we always just call them aunts and uncles because that's how you do in the Midwest and the South. Yeah, everyone's a cousin or an aunt or an uncle, regardless of how far out they are.
Yep.
But they came out to visit from South Carolina, and it was right when that Dr. Dre Chronic album first came out, and they brought it out, and we listened to country music in the house. It was pretty much just country music, maybe some Southern rock if my dad was feeling crazy, but
Waylon.
mostly Waylon, Willie, Waylon, Hank. 70s, 80s country music.
Should we before we move topics, should we shout out to Waylon there? Your beautiful dog.
Yeah, Waylon, the 1-year-old red lab.
Uninterested in this version of
Yeah.
the episode.
No, but they came out and they were like young, cool, hip, and they brought that album out, and I remember we got in their car to go somewhere and it came on, it was playing. And I was just like, what the fuck is this? This is crazy. And my dad was just in the back, like biting his lip. And my aunt and my uncles are just like, know every word, rapping the whole song,
Yes.
And that was my first introduction to it.
So I like moved from the Ozarks to Southern California right before high school.
Mm-hmm.
And this was all when like, Doggy Style, Dre,
Sure.
the Chronic, like all were hitting. So like all West Coast rap is coming up. Tupac.
As you
Big,
land
Big,
on the West Coast.
Totally.
Got you.
And like punk is a scene
Totally.
too. Vans Warped Tour before it was like commercialized and became like the Blink 180 tour
Sure.
was more like pop. Like when it used to be like Pennywise and Bad Religion or like Lagwagon or like old school punk like this, and then Red Hot Chili Peppers coming out of LA.
See, that's when I think of like California music, I think of like the hairband stuff, like Motley Crue playing at Whiskey or whatever.
Yeah.
Or then so that was like the 80s rock, you know, the hairband 80s glam rock that was happening on the strip.
Yeah, Bon Jovi's East Coast, but like Guns N'
all that,
Roses,
like,
Motley Crue,
totally.
Def Leppard,
Yeah.
like
Um,
Poison, they're all
Exactly. I
Totally.
think of that like that, or I think of like the West Coast rap, like Tupac and Dr. Dre and all that.
Mhm.
Or I think of like the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like one of those three. Like it's that though. And then when you think of like the grunge stuff, I think of that as more like Seattle, Oregon.
It was for sure.
Totally.
Yeah, but there was a heavy metal pit stop in San Francisco that
Got it.
scooped up Metallica.
Because I would say Metallica is true heavy metal, as opposed to like
That's arguable.
Motley Crue being more like, which would be one of the harder glam rock bands.
No, I like Motley Crue's like not even close to Metallica in terms of like
Hardness, like right.
like not a chance.
And I know there's heavier heavy metal nowadays, but at the time, Metallica, that was like the hardest shit on MTV.
Yeah.
It was, but it was like more approachable than say like Sabbath or Ozzy.
But see, like I feel like Sabbath was more like classic rock.
Well, I felt like Sabbath was like to me, like
Mhm.
at least growing up conservatively, thought it was like death metal.
Yeah.
Because there was like the whole thing about Ozzy biting the head off the bat.
Sure.
And like some of the, I don't know, maybe even like some of the songs were a little bit like,
Well, back in that time, like that kind of music was like demonized, you know,
Yeah.
like the Metallica's, Black Sabbath,
Totally
the,
was.
like, you know,
But I feel like
Ozzy,
Black Sabbath was so much before Metallica.
yeah. But
70s, like
Because
Metallica.
when I feel like Black Sabbath, I feel like AC/DC. I feel like who's the other guy? God, I should have been more prepared. Like Iron Maiden. Like the
Iron Maiden happened after Metallica.
Oh, it did.
He was a reject from the Metallica band.
Okay, well then you know more about. I don't listen to heavy metal.
Yeah, clearly.
Clearly.
Well, no, I don't think you're wrong. There is some blur between like where classic rock started to become a little bit more like heavy metal.
Sure.
And I think Ozzy maybe like Sabbath was kind of like leading that more than like AC/DC was.
Sure.
And, like,
I think
Sabbath was
Sabbath
all-
and Ozzy are different. I know they're the same, but I feel like
I think
Sabbath was
Ozzy was
early.
more pop. I think
Ozzy was more mainstream, more
Yeah.
pop. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think Metallica, like their early albums were like way too hard for me.
So,
They
like,
were like scary.
Did you have a Metallica album?
The first one I ever bought was Reload, which is probably I think where you were gonna go, Spencer, which is like that's when they kind of started softening,
Yeah.
or at least becoming more like acceptable mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the first Metallica album was like Black Album, right?
No, I think Riding the Lightning.
Okay.
Or there was one before that
Okay.
even. So the
So
Black Album was the one I think put them on the map. Reload was a
that was like Enter Sandman. That was the Black Album, right?
yeah, but that was like 90 something. They'd
Okay.
already toured on 2 albums or before that. I don't know. We can fucking
And well, yeah.
We got.
I wish we had some sort of mobile device with all these answers.
if only there was a way.
Because in the house that I grew up in, we weren't allowed to listen to that shit.
No, same.
same.
Yeah, totally. It was
Yeah.
like satanic music.
Midwest
Yeah.
fucking
There was
conservative
that.
Christian, yeah.
Conservative.
But
I mean, that was my family.
My point that I was trying to make was like, you know, same thing, you know, as Metallica, as opposed to what that kind of music, heavy metal, air quotes,
Sure.
turned into, you know, over the next 10, 20, and 30 years, even now.
Right.
Same with hip hop, like, you know, Tupac, you know, Biggie, NWA, you know, all those guys, you know, like that was like
I have been
the
doing-
music for rejects and like
Mhm.
for you know, criminals and like these guys that are just like,
Sure.
you know, they were
You were either like a
not
white trash with a
accepted by
mullet
society.
and you
Yeah.
listen to heavy metal, or you were like a thug and you
You're,
listen to gangster
you're
rap.
Gangster rap, but like you listen to like what that transitioned into on in most genres. You know, it's gotten way heavier. It's gotten way more gangster.
Oh, totally.
You know, nowadays.
Well, some of it has, but then some of it's softened also.
Yeah, it just opened like it opened up the you know the spectrum for everybody to kind of put their own little
Spin on-
pieces and their own
Sure.
spin and
Yeah.
their own.
Well, it's so great for those early artists to open those doors
Yeah.
for everything else. Because I mean, you remember like what was her name? The wife of the senator or whatever, that like when we had to put the advisory labels on albums.
Oh,
And
who
then
was doing that? Was
and then the dude from Twisted Sister with he like went and stood in front of Congress and was like articulate and well spoken and like blew everyone's minds. And they were like, oh man, this guy like wears makeup and dresses up like a girl and runs around like a crazy person, and now he just sat in court and talked like a fucking lawyer.
Yeah, like, they didn't think those people were intelligent, you know? Like,
No,
it's
they
like
exactly.
like we don't like your music, so you're a dumbass.
That was the misunderstanding, is that we've not taken the time to listen. We're only just like reacting out of shock. And
Well, I mean, look at what
all the explicit lyric CDs. I don't think it was Reagan, but
no, it was God, it's right on the tip of my
would have
tongue.
been Clinton, Tipper Gore.
Tipper Gore. Yeah, it was
Tipper.
Al Gore's wife, Tipper Gore. Yeah.
Yeah. They were like, they had steamrollers like going over like plastic CD cases in the middle of like a street.
Well, I mean,
in front
talk
of
about
Tower
like
Records.
talk about like the original Karen. Like,
Yeah.
like just fucking scared of everything. Everything is like gonna kill you. Everything's
So
bad.
true.
So like she's like the OG Karen.
Yeah.
Shout out to the OG Karen, Tipper Gore.
Yeah.
We have a guest spot if you're
If you're still alive.
We'll have to get you in after Method Man, and we got some other big A-list hitters.
Yeah, we got
the
some
Mannings are coming on.
Yeah, we got the Manning brothers.
Mannings are lined up. Yeah, you'd be surprised, Spencer. Like, we've only been in business for a couple of years, but
Kind of a big
That's why I'm especially honored.
far-reaching.
Collar man over here.
And nothing is beyond us. We'll go all the way back to '88 to bring it back to Burgoyne.
Yeah, oh, get it in our little time machine. I time travel every Friday night, so it's not a problem. I'll pick her up.
Quick update on the internet device. Says that Kill 'Em All was the first Metallica album.
Oh, I feel like I should have known that.
And then Ride the Lightning.
In '83.
And then
Holy
Master
shit.
of Puppets.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then Justice for All. And then I think Metallica in '91.
That's the one.
That's the Black
Yeah,
Album.
yeah, yeah.
That's what was dubbed the Black Album.
So we're
they
Metallica
had
started
four
in
before.
83, 84.
And I got on the
88,
train
88.
with after the Black Album. There was Load and there was Reload, and I got on the Metallica train with Reload. And I started working my way back through the catalog, because the next album was Saint Anger, which was not necessarily like a great album.
Yeah.
Like, I tried to really like it because I just like was so stoked on
Was that
Reload.
the one they did the covers, like the Skinner cover, Tuesday's Gone, they did what else did they do? Turn the Page.
Turn the Page, I think, was the Black Album.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of when they started to go like more softer classic rock.
I do love that Turn the Page cover though. That is a fucking good one. I mean, it's a great song. Bob Seger, I think, initially.
So real quick, what year did MTV start?
In '81.
81 was the first MTV.
I hope I nailed that because I was so confident.
Music television.
Answer it.
At what point did they?
Do you know the
start
first
doing
video?
television?
Do you know the first video?
Oh, I know as soon as you say it. What was that?
Well, I mean, that happened at some point. Yeah. Now you go on MTV, it's just ridiculous
Yeah,
videos. It's
You are 100% right. It is August 1st, 1981 was
All right.
the first video on MTV.
All right, double whammy.
Well
If you
done.
can nail the name the first video. It's appropriate too.
It's the most appropriate.
It's so appropriate.
Do you know? I know because I'm looking at it.
I know because I know.
All right, well, what is it?
Video killed the radio star.
Video killed the radio. Yeah. By the Buggles?
They'd set their own trap from from the beginning.
I mean, that's kind of how things go, is everyone tells you what they're going to do before they do it.
I mean, that's awesome. Wonder if that was orchestrated. Is that Pelosi?
Oh, damn it. Did Pelosi start MTV? That bitch is fucking old.
Right before she got into the Visa IPO.
Yeah.
I think she was still the Speaker of the House back in '81.
Yeah, she was.
Might have been her first year. Might have been her first year.
Okay, crypt keeper over there.
That's so good.
So I was born in '79, and I don't think we had my parents had a small black and white TV in their bedroom until we moved off the farm into town, and that would have been in like '85. But we didn't have cable. I want to say I didn't see MTV until probably like '88.
You know, that's
86, 87, 88, somewhere in there. We didn't have cable the first couple of years we moved into town, so I want to say it was probably like 86 or 87.
Was cable like a big thing back when you were a kid? Like
For
the
sure.
turn
You had
Yeah.
rabbit ears or you had money?
The rabbit ears, yeah.
I mean, I remember as a
There's no
kid,
fiber back then.
we used to rent a VCR. we would go to the movie place.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Blockbuster.
Totally.
It wasn't like Family
Yes.
Video. There was like these small little family-owned video rental places.
Totally.
And like it was like if Dad had a good week at work,
Yeah.
like if we had an extra little bit of money that week,
Movies this
That was
week.
Yeah.
a treat.
that was the big deal, and it didn't happen that often. A few times a year maybe,
Yeah.
and we would go to the video store. Dad would rent this like suitcase which looked like a fucking military bomb. I mean, it looked like a tactical nuke in this fucking suitcase. Yeah, I mean, it was like in a Pelican box, like it was the big deal. And he would bring it home and plug it into the TV, and we would all huddle around. And yeah, I think it was like 2 or 3 videos you could get if you rented the VCR.
No shit.
And but yeah, I remember. Anyway, we're getting off track. But yeah, MTV, we watched it. My dad was immediately like, "Nope, turn that shit off. You kids can't watch this channel." And so we were only had like 5 or 6 channels we were allowed to watch. And of course, you know, if the babysitter was over or something, she'd put MTV on and we'd like hang out and watch MTV with the
I
babysitter.
love the babysitter.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome, man. I remember when I was growing up, obviously like cassettes were out and VCRs and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff in the late 80s. My mom always had a camcorder, she videoed everything. But
Used to rent those too.
yeah, the transition from cassettes to CDs, it was the coolest thing. It was the coolest
So
thing
did you have cassettes?
Yeah, yeah.
So what was your first cassette?
Dude, I don't even remember. It's probably some Christian rock music
Really?
or something, because I grew up the same way as both you did. I
Well-
wasn't allowed to listen to certain things, but I do remember the first CD that I ever burned
Okay.
off of, because that also was like the
Ooh,
thing in middle school, high school. The
Yeah,
first CD that I ever burned was the Chronic.
Remember when you buy a computer and it had to have the CD, what was the CDM-R?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like the CD.
Oh, so you could record on it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it meant that you
So
could
what-
burn as much as you.
What was your
Yes.
first cassette or first album for
Oh,
record?
Michael Jackson Bad.
No shit.
Mine too.
It came in an Easter basket from my grandmother. Shout out grandma.
Mine.
Leela. Grandma
You know what,
Leela
Jeff?
got me fucking an Easter bunny basket.
I am fairly certain that I got Michael Jackson Bad as my first cassette.
No
Yeah.
shit.
I know for a fact that was my first cassette that I ever owned, but I'm fairly certain it came in the Easter basket.
Nice.
So I am fairly certain that is.
From grandma.
It wasn't from grandma. It would have been from mom. Very much against dad's. Okay. But
Oh, I ran that thing out. I don't think I wore it out the first day.
I would listen to it in my room.
Oh my god, it's such a great
My
album.
sister had one of those. It was like a yellow cassette player. It had like 2 speakers, like a little boom box.
Yeah.
It was yellow and it was like a splash or something.
CD on top.
No,
too.
it just was
Oh.
2 cassettes.
Oh, 2
That was
cassettes.
it. And it was probably 6 inches tall. It took like 55 D-cell car batteries. It was ridiculous. But it had these 2 little like 6-inch speakers.
Each costing like $5
Oh yeah,
per.
it was like $100 to listen to this boombox for like 10 minutes.
Oh my god, so good.
And no, but my sister had it because she would listen to like all of her whatever girly chick music at the time. And I was with my dad. Like music was playing at the house 24/7. Rarely was the TV on.
All right.
Music got turned
Love
off and the
that.
TV got turned on for like the news.
Yeah.
You know, that was it.
6 to 6:30.
That was it. And
Right.
then it went off, and then
Yeah.
usually the music came back on. And
Uh-huh.
my dad's old school.
Love that.
We listened to records
Nice.
in my house until I was in middle school for sure.
Vinyl.
Vinyl, yeah,
Yeah, nice.
proper records.
Oh, my mom used to
It's
have,
nice, dude.
she used to
Yeah.
have like a turntable, like, so my room was down in the basement.
Mhm.
And so like, you know, I got some of the stuff that was like overflow from upstairs, like storage.
Mm.
But I also got like to pick some of the cherry pick stuff that like didn't really work in my mom's room.
Uh-huh.
So one of the turntables, she was like, we're gonna put this under the stairs. I'm like, no, let's
Yeah.
like.
I got a place for this.
Bring this motherfucker out. And it was back in the day. So like my mom had, I don't know, not an expansive collection of vinyl, but enough vinyl
Uh-huh.
that like, you know, some Beach Boys, like,
Oh,
whoa,
yes.
what is it good for?
Gotcha.
Absolutely. And I would have that needle just be like, war, war.
Just keep listening to the war part.
I would just love that song for whatever reason.
That's great.
But so she had like enough vinyl that I'd mess around with that. But the whole like
Stack.
power,
Yeah.
stack had dual cassettes. And you know, the only way to record anything back in the day,
Totally.
dual cassettes. So
Or sets, or
You-
wait for the radio to play
You'd
the
be
song
on-
that you've been
yeah.
listening
no, that's what I'm
to.
saying. You'd be on the
Yeah.
FM band and it'd
Right.
be like click, and you'd catch it,
Yeah.
and then you'd have to rewind this one and put it over to that one.
Yeah.
But you'd always like the DJ would always talk over
Yeah.
the intro.
Yes.
And you're like, shut up, man. I'm trying to get it
Just
clear.
feel like, hey, for everyone trying to record this song, we're gonna play this song in
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah.
Where were you at, old school 80s DJs?
Because the way you got girls in the 80s and 90s.
Mixtapes.
Mixtapes. And I can't have some like
Right.
DJ announcer
Yeah.
talking over this like romantic
Yeah.
interlude that I'm
DJ
putting
asshole
together.
that just likes to hear his own voice talking over the best part of this song.
Stephanie's not gonna be stoked on this. All right?
Stephanie's not gonna be down to make out. So Spencer, I gotta believe with your dad being in music and growing up in a music, you guys probably had music going on in the house all the time, right?
Oh,
Mixtapes live.
Yeah, always in the, like his band, they'd come over to the house, we'd go over to their houses
Uh-huh.
after gigs and like, all their kids and us were the best of friends and, they would get back to the house and they'd keep playing, like they would
Just keep jamming.
or their harmonic, like they would pull all their instruments out and just keep jamming it for all of us.
That's so cool.
Spencer's been an old school porch musician since he was 4.
Right. Spencer's been hanging out in jazz clubs since he was
It
4.
was the coolest thing, man. Like as a kid, like growing up in music, like you don't appreciate it at that age as much as you do, as much as I do now.
No.
Like it was cool. It's like my dad, like the lead singer in the, like he was like my idol in that manner because the dude's got a sultry, just like beautiful, deep voice, but it was
Like a
cool to
bassy
see.
voice.
He's got like a voice that he can hit that kind of like baritone, but he also can hit those higher notes like that, the tenor voice as well. And it was just cool to see, man. And I think that's what gave me a passion for music. And
So is that what you guys were listening to in the house? Was it mostly jazz and like that, like kind of soul R&B kind of type music?
no, not so much. Like that's what he played, and that's what the band played. But like I just remember growing up with like blues playing. Like I'd go to grandma's house and like she'd have Buddy Guy playing
Yeah,
and Clapton and Stevie as well and
sure.
and soul.
Buddy Guy.
Like my uncle actually sings for the Temptations.
Your
What?
uncle sang.
Come on, slow the.
So
This yada yada yada.
Oh, and by the way, the Temptations.
this timer, so he sings
Yeah,
for
my
the
aunt was a
Temptations.
supreme.
He sang for the Temptations for like the last 10-15 years from current.
Mhm.
And there's only like a couple original guys left in the band when he started playing and
Oh, wow.
playing with them. But like that was what we listened to, the Temptations. We listened to
So it was pretty
Miles
groovy
Davis
in your
and-
house.
Oh, it was great, man. It was great. It was
Your
great.
house was groovy.
It was great, but my mom being like Middle Eastern too, like we would listen to like some Middle Eastern shit as well, and like
Oh, really? Like some Persian music?
yeah, man. I tell you what, like you ever go like job sites here that construction sites, or you work in the kitchen, you work in a restaurant, like the Mexican guys
Totally.
listen to that
A
stuff.
lot
but
of Mexican music.
it's similar, man. They got that like that.
I
that
lived in Morocco
energetic
for a
music.
while, and
Yeah.
it was like by the end of it, I was like, I kind of get it.
When I first
It's like totally foreign to the ear, like to a Western ear.
when I was working in a body shop when I first moved out here, we had a couple Mexican guys, and they always had their Mexican music going on kind of their half of the shop.
Mhm.
And I'd go over to their half of the shop and do some work or help them out
Yeah.
and whatever. And at first I was like, what the fuck
Yeah,
is this
what is-
noise? Like it
Yeah.
just drove me nuts.
Yeah,
But then after a while, it kind of grew on me, and I was like, I get it.
yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
proper music. I just don't understand the words,
No,
but it's proper music.
Well, it's lots of trumpets. It's real strings.
Yeah.
It's like
Bass.
violin, bass.
Totally.
stand up bass, yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
guitars, and I
Which
think
reminds
about
me
that.
of the.
Well, and very acousticy.
Yeah.
Like
Those are very music forward. There's
Totally.
no synthesized.
no.
Yeah.
Well, like I grew up listening to it was always country music on at the house. It was,
Yeah.
Waylon but also too, Dad, he did have a good lot of Stevie Ray Vaughan, Allman Brothers, Doobie Brothers, because my dad was kind of like that, like cowboy hippie, if that makes sense. So it was kind of like some of that 70s classic. At the time, it was just rock. And now it's classic rock, but at the time, it was just like
Right.
Southern rock and kind of country mix. But then also, my mom was into like, Whitney Houston and
Oh, hell yeah.
Sade and Aretha Franklin. So there was also like some R&B, some of that kind of stuff that my mom listened to that got a lot of playtime. And then of course my sister was like Madonna. It was just Madonna. Like it was fucking Madonna 24/7 with my sister.
Shout out Madonna. Immaculate Collection is one of the greatest albums ever put together.
I don't know about all that.
It's
beautiful.
true. Yeah, it's true.
But so I mean, same thing. Like it was the house that I grew up. It was always music going.
Yeah.
Rarely the TV was on, but it was a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, oh, Waylon Jennings in the morning, Whitney Houston later on that afternoon, and then like Robert Cray.
How'd you feel about all of it?
I liked it. I still like it. I mean, I think
I think with shit though about Madonna.
For sure. Madonna, Madonna, you can have her. I don't give two fucks about Madonna.
She was
but
legendary in the 80s. You gotta
I get it.
cultural icon.
Total big time pop star. Like she was the playlist of the 80s.
Yeah.
But like Whitney Houston, I think she's the greatest singer ever, and I don't think there'll ever be someone like her.
Oh, shout out Celine Dion. We're gonna have Celine
Dion. There's so many that you can say are the greatest singer ever, but Whitney is she's a different animal. But
when Whitney
died,
when she covered that Dolly Parton song, the I Will Always Love You, the Dolly Parton song, when she covered that, I mean, I was like, that might be one of the most perfectly sung songs ever.
Didn't Dolly Parton say that's not my song anymore? It's hers.
It's totally. Dolly was like, nope, that's it.
Done.
And I mean, and Dolly's like, she's kind of up there, like she's God. Yeah, like she's top level.
Amazing. She like the vibrato.
Totally.
Her voice, like she was.
I mean, she's 90 and she still gives the kid the chub every now and then.
What's the joke?
I get it.
I mean, like.
Years ago.
Come on, guys.
That
song Jolene, the way she does it, like every single time gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah.
That's not hers, by the way. I don't think either.
Dolly.
I think she covered that.
She might have. I don't know. A lot of songs are hers. She's co-written a ton of songs. She's redone a lot of songs.
You know what's wild? Like the older I get, the more I go back and like listen to music and then like figure out you know who sang it, whatnot. Like a lot of even back then, like the Dolly Parton days, like the Eric Clapton days, like they were covering stuff.
Yeah, they were covering.
10 years before.
Well, what's that famous UB40 song? That was Elvis Presley cover.
Yes.
But then it turned out that Elvis didn't write that song.
Elvis cover, yeah.
And I thought it was like Elvis's song, and then I thought UB40's version was like better. Oh my god.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's like a classic one, and you're like, dude, that is a
rambling on my mind.
Yeah.
That's not a Clapton song.
No.
That's a Robert Johnson song.
Yeah.
Huh.
And that
Clapton was a huge Robert Johnson fan. Like Robert Johnson was who Clapton really attempted to emulate early on in his career. Like that's where a lot of his, from what I've heard, I've never met Eric Clapton. He's never told me this personally, but from what I've heard about,
he's coming on the podcast so next month.
Yeah, we'll get Robert Johnson on the podcast.
He's already hit stride.
I get the time machine tonight. Don't worry, guys. We're bringing a couple guys back.
Bring me up to more production. What we're googling and stuff. He's handling our shout outs or guest list.
So the next question I want to ask you guys is,
can't help falling in love with you.
Yeah. Got it. Sing it for us.
No, I'll do it. Yeah, make me finish the verse.
So I covered what was the first album, cassette, record, whatever that you had.
So we're both bad out of Easter Bunny baskets. Where's yours? What was your first album?
The first CD, because at that point, like when I was in
middle
school, there were CDs. The first one was the Chronic 2001.
Oh right, 88.
Yeah, and I was not allowed to listen to that. So same like your.
I'd already been deployed downrange at that point.
I had to hide it. And I would listen to it in the car.
Would your dad have been mad if he found it?
No, my dad wouldn't. It was my.
Because I mean, I feel like your dad coming from music.
No,
he probably appreciates all music.
No, but you know how it is in a relationship. My dad was not the one that made the calls.
No, yeah, for sure.
And she was like Midwest Michigan. She was from
she was
from the Middle East, but she. Well, in certain ways.
Sure.
So, she
mom was like the skate around dad.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very Midwest, and the West Coaster did things different.
Yeah, he would not have let that happen.
Like,
he broke several CDs of mine. Like,
oh really?
He broke that one.
She was like, not in my house.
I had like the Nellyville CD and like that. That's
like Nelly was so PG-13 though.
Well, yeah, looking back,
depends on who you're talking to though. Like conservative mother in the 90s that's influenced by Tipper Gore's.
Right, it's like 2000. So I'm a little bit younger than you fellas.
No, for sure.
90s. That goes all the way to 99.
Yeah.
Which means could roll into the
I was
2000.
11.
All right, so
I was 11. Appropriate, Spencer.
But it's like I think this fueled my love for music though, like not being able to listen to certain things.
Yeah, that
And-
made it.
and-
well, you want the things that you can't have, totally.
Yeah, Tipper Gore, they're running all
Dolly
the stuff in
Parton.
the streets. I'm like, let me get a
Dolly
copy.
Parton's never gonna go out with me, and that's why I want to go out.
Yeah. But no, like growing up in California, like I didn't hear the Chili Peppers until I moved to Michigan. And to this day, like that stays on my playlist, like the Chili Peppers.
It's
and
timeless.
Anthony Kiedis and Flea and those guys are just they're phenomenal, man.
They're
Like, what
amazing.
they did, like
Well,
that-
every album's like a different band.
yeah.
You know, like they did Blood Sugar Sex Magic, which was a little too like raw for me when I was growing up. I think that released in like 86, 87.
Yeah.
And so when they started doing like, you know, getting into high school, like they did like Californication and like Danny California,
Yeah.
Snowflake
Yeah,
and some of these
yeah,
other tracks.
Yeah.
I mean, the Californication was the first Chili Pepper song that I knew.
So then I started going backwards in the catalog though. 'Cause
Okay.
I'm like, if this stuff is good, like let me go back to the roots. And I could get back as far as Blood Sugar Sex
Yeah.
Magic.
And then it started getting a little
And then I could only still
garagey.
I could do like one or two of the like hits that you're like you're supposed to like this
Sure.
So
because you like them, you know. So I tried to make it fit, but like
yeah.
yeah, it was interesting to watch that
It
band
was super
evolve.
like grungy, funky, like their music was super eclectic. Every song was just like a mix of a lot of things. But funny story, one of the guys like
Well, there are no like
10
real
years ago-
lyrics. They weren't like telling a real story.
No, they were all
No, it's
they were all
noise.
high on fucking
Yeah.
heroin at that time. But one of the guys I worked with like 10 years ago, he was a huge Chili Pepper fan, and I told him I was too. And he had this flash drive, and it had like 1,000 Chili Pepper songs on it.
Unreleased.
And he's like, "Oh, you are unreleased."
Yeah.
Wow.
Like
I've heard
before
that.
any of those albums were made, like it was like live recordings of them, and one of them was actually in Aspen.
Huh.
And the funny thing
No
is,
shit.
it was the next recordings were like Houston or something like that, and Anthony Kiedis comes on and he's telling a story about Aspen, and he's like, we went to Aspen last week, you know, to play a show, and we got booed off a stage, and this is like early '80s. You know, they got booed off a stage, and the guys told him, take your I don't know if I can say this in your podcast.
You can say whatever you want.
But they told him to take your nigger music back to California because they thought that was like like a like black people music.
Also,
They
just for the
thought-
record, Spencer can say that
I am
because
black.
Spencer is
Oh
black.
yeah, sorry.
Thank
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man,
yeah.
we've been hemmed up.
No, it
Hemmed up.
was and I quote.
Jeff and I can say that.
Yeah.
Spencer can say that.
Be clear, neither Jeff nor Casey speaking.
Sorry. But no, it's just funny, like looking back on it, like everybody's perspective on music back 20, 30 years ago.
Oh, totally.
So different. Like nowadays, like I listen to country music. I love Culture Wall, Tyler Childers, George Strait, all that. And then I
Yeah.
love, you know, old school hip hop, you know, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, you know, and like even some new school stuff. And it's just like,
I saw Naughty by Nature in concert.
hell yeah.
It was hilarious.
Wow.
It was so wildly inappropriate. I mean, it was just
Where did you see that?
SIU Carbondale.
Wait, I thought the
No.
first. I thought the first.
Carbondale,
No.
SIU Carbondale. Was it Naughty by Nature? What was the ones that was it Naughty by Nature or was it? Yeah, it was Naughty by Nature.
Yeah.
They had like there's a really dirty rap song at the time.
OPP
Oh
Repeat?
no,
No.
it wasn't OP.
property.
No, it was Two Live Crew.
Oh,
Excuse me, Two Live Crew.
Okay.
That's who I saw. I saw
Luke is raunchy.
I saw Two Live Crew
Yeah.
in Carbondale, Illinois, SIU Carbondale at the Copper Dragon, and it was eye-opening.
Oh, my God.
It was-
Wait, this is in Illinois.
this is in Illinois.
Not Carbondale.
No,
Colorado, just-
Carbondale, Illinois.
Okay, I was like,
and
gotcha.
SIU.
Live Crew and
Southern Illinois University, and it was eye-opening.
Then the
and it-
KKK. Center of
No,
America.
no, it wasn't. It was not like that at all. SIU was pretty. It was a college town.
Yeah.
You know, it
I
was a
made
college
Casey
town.
go to a Nappy Roots show.
Yeah, I
Loved
was
it.
at Roots at Belly Up. And it
We
was
did too.
One of my favorite shows.
It
We had a
was
great
such a
time.
good show.
Yeah.
Those guys are
And he
awesome.
had an amazing time. He's like, if
We were there.
He's like, if this sucks,
Were we?
I'm gonna hate
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And he was
Last
like,
year for me.
I was like 40 years old.
I don't know. I think actually Jeff took me the first time, and then I went with you the next time they were here because I was like, yeah,
Oh,
they're good.
nice. Yeah. I had like an extra ticket in case like we were like bumming around, growing around town. And like I've got to peel off to go to the show, and he's like, "Well, whatever." And I'm like, "Well, I've got a ticket. Like, come with." He's like, "Well, hip hop's not my thing." I'm like,
Yeah.
These guys will be epic."
Yeah.
And we went. It
was great.
Drug them in, had a great time. Yeah, totally.
One of my favorite songs to this day is Nappy Roots, Poor Folks. Ho Folks.
Oh,
folks.
yeah, I know that song was
I
great.
hear that song, and every time I hear it, I get goosebumps, literally. Every time. It's just,
I don't know if we're gonna
those guys are genuine.
Yeah, for sure.
They're a great show.
It was just honest music. Musicians, talented musicians.
Entertainers.
It was great,
just like,
yeah.
It was as much spoken word as it was poetry, as it was music, as it was
Part of the reason that
rap.
Yeah.
So like I absolutely appreciate like Tupac. I absolutely appreciate that rap of that era.
Mhm.
I kind of one of my good buddies, Kevin.
Real quick, just for the guys, let's download this now. And if they like get enough hits,
Yeah, great.
Now that people are knee deep head over heels in this country.
I think that's why I like this because they're definitely country dudes.
Yeah, they're country, and like that's the thing. Like people don't like, a lot of white people when I was growing up didn't realize that black folks could be country too.
This is also
And their country is shit.
I know some country fucking brothers when I was growing up. Skips, I'm not like, with all of this like white and black division, I'm like, I don't know what is like more country than you there.
Well, the funny thing, like where I grew up, the elementary school that I went to was probably 80-ish% mostly black kids. Like my sister and I were the only two white kids on our bus, but everyone lived in the country.
So you know how I feel when asking for
I know how you feel. Like I'm not kidding you. My sister can double dutch with the sisters to this day.
Really?
It is nuts. Like
Shout out Molly,
yeah,
double dutching.
Molly was out on the playground with the black girls with the braids,
That's just horrible.
doing it. Yeah, But I mean that was. But the thing is, we lived in the country.
Yeah.
These were the black kids were country kids, the white kids were country kids. We were all country people.
Yeah.
And then as we got older, some of the black kids were listening to the rap music and the white kids too. And they started to like fake this like urban thing.
Yeah.
We're like, guys, I literally saw you at the elevator yesterday. We were throwing bags of speed corn the other day.
Yeah.
And now you're like trying to be like this thug you live on Compton in LA. And
Yeah.
it's like, dude,
Right.
you don't.
Well, that was always funny
Like-
for me because I was going back and forth between the Ozarks and San Diego. So I would do like my school year in the Ozarks, and then I'd go to like summer in San Diego. And the music, the clothes, like
Sure.
everything was different. Like
Totally.
West Coast was like 2 years ahead of the Midwest,
Mhm.
right? So like I would see like
I feel like that's currently. I feel like
Still-
it's just how it goes.
still the thing.
Stuff happens in LA or New York,
But I would
and then
come
it
back.
filters into the middle of the country.
I'd come back from like San Diego with like Vans on. I'd be
Mhm.
like, what are those? Be like, you don't even fucking know.
Well,
And like music that like, just hadn't hit yet that
Yeah.
like people just didn't really understand.
when it's so funny, like you say that, like you go to the rodeos today, like the bigger rodeos, and it's like guys wearing starched Wranglers, really nice hats,
Uh,
and most of them wearing Vans. And they go put their boots on for the event, and then they get done with the event, they put their Vans on or their Hey Dudes, and then that's their regular shoes
yeah.
with like pressed Wranglers and a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
And it's so funny how it's like all melting together now.
Yeah.
Like one of the best Bronc riders right now, Rocker. He rap music, hip hop music, barefooting on the lake, Vans, like
Yeah.
total punker kid. I mean, his kid's name is Rocker,
Yeah.
but he's like as country as they get.
Yeah.
This is a badass bareback or a badass Bronc rider. So the question
It's great though, like, and that's what I love seeing. Sorry to interrupt you. It's great. I love seeing that, man, because like some of my favorite shit growing up was like when Nelly did covers with Tim McGraw,
Sure.
like country and hip hop.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
think about
like,
the earliest one, Willie Nelson and Ray Charles.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like they wouldn't play it on certain stations
But that
because
wasn't Aretha.
Dolly Parton and Aretha. I mean, and that was like,
Because he was black?
yeah,
What? Really?
yeah. Well, and
Jeez.
also like Ray Charles was kind of like they kind of banned him from Georgia because it was during the segregation and all that stuff that was going on at the time.
Was he outspoken activist?
Ray Charles? No.
Beautiful.
they
Yeah,
In Georgia.
just Black in the South. Yeah, Black in the
So it's
South.
just well, I think it was Ray Charles was going to play somewhere in Georgia, and the stadium or the theater or whatever that he was playing at was a segregated theater. So blacks on one side, whites on the other.
Yeah.
And this was kind of during that movement, that time when everyone was like, "Hey, South, get it together! Like
Sure.
we're not doing this anymore. You guys are the last people doing this. You're fucking wrong."
Yeah.
And Ray Charles was like, "You know what?" I think it was kind of a last minute deal from the stories that I've heard and from what I've read. And Ray Charles was like, "You know what? We're not going to play here." And the venue was like, "No, we've sold all these tickets. You're under contract." And Ray Charles was like, "Fucking sue me.
Yeah.
We're not playing." And so then that's when he got busted for drugs. It's because they were like against Ray Charles because of that. If he'd have just gone along and played,
Yeah.
they probably wouldn't have said shit to him, and he
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have gotten in drugs. But also then maybe he would have died a junkie. So it's why he got in trouble. It's why he got clean. But then it was a big turning point in that movement at the time. And then later on, then of course they made Georgia on My Mind the official song of the state of Georgia. But
In a full circle.
Full circle, right.
Yeah.
I mean, hindsight's
Well,
2020.
Yeah,
No,
and
that's
that's
like
like
American
that's
politics,
that-
though. It's like,
I
well-
think music had a huge part to play in
Like in 20 years.
And that's why I think music is so fucking important, is because it really transcends so many things.
Totally.
And you can have this guy from over here and this guy from over here, but they can kind of meet in the middle over music.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted Tipper Gore to fucking know the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah,
Because like
Tipper.
she was always like
Step up.
explicit lyrics, and I'm like, you can also have good music, and like Red Hot Chili Peppers have not said a fucking thing since
Well,
'81.
they used to perform literally with nothing on but tube socks around their clothes.
Sleep.
Yeah, I remember.
Just sleep.
No, they all did.
No, they all
did.
did.
They all did.
I feel like it was on like an MTV Music Awards, like it was like on
Oh, yeah.
on TV.
Sleep did it
And they like
chronically. He
came
did it a
out with
lot.
like tube
Wait,
sock on
what?
their junk.
I didn't realize Kiedis and Chad did it all.
Well,
I'm
I'll do
pretty
it.
sure. Have you seen where Chad? What's his last name?
Chelsea?
Yeah.
Smith,
Yeah.
the drummer.
And he does, and it's him and Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
And they're drumming.
They look-
Yes.
they look
Oh
alike.
my god, dude, that's
They
what
do look exactly like they do.
And I hate late night talk shows. Like I think the late night talk shows are just garbage these days.
Yeah.
But when I think they did it on Jimmy Fallon,
I think it was Fallon, yeah.
and oh my god, I was dying. It was
Have
the
you seen
funniest thing.
Have you seen the first time Chad Smith hears like whatever? There's a couple of these different instances, but it's like Chad Smith hears like Third Eye Blind for the first time.
No.
Or like not maybe not Third Eye Blind.
God, I
but
hope
or-
not. I hope
No,
not.
like
So it's
something that has like a better drum like,
Sure.
piece to it,
Yeah.
and he just hears it. Never heard this song before. They play it, and he goes, and he kind of like for call it 3 minutes and 30 seconds. He's
Yeah.
like kind of piecing,
plays with it
piecing around with it, just like underplaying.
and then just nails it.
And then they're like, okay,
Do it.
you want to try? And he goes, I think I got it. And they hit play, and he's just like, plays it better than the original. Yeah, I mean,
So that's such a good-
unbelievable.
That's such a good lead into this other
Unbelievable.
question that I had. Best drummer, best guitarist, best singer.
Well,
That's drummer. I don't know his name, but it's been told to me, and from my research, is the drummer from Rush.
Okay. I don't know his name either, but I know who you're talking
And the reason why,
Pearl?
yeah, that sounds something right.
Pearl? Something Pearl?
If only one of you guys.
All right.
Okay, Google.
I'll dig into this box.
But apparently, like the Rush drummer, like if you look at his drum pads, all of the placements are like in the center.
no shit.
You can
Neil
see
Peart.
Neil Peart, yeah,
Peart.
yeah. So Neil Peart is allegedly the greatest drummer of any rock band.
But that's not because of what you think. That's just because of what you've been told.
And criterion that I've aligned that I
Got it.
think is impressive.
But
yeah.
like you, like what, like when you listen to a band. Sorry, I'm asking you questions.
That's fair.
No,
actually.
shoot,
I'm
I
just curious.
That's
Like, I'm
fair.
curious.
Who is the best? Like what?
Of the
band
shit
do I-
that you listen to.
Yeah, that I like the drum work on the most. Fuck, I don't really know.
Yeah.
That's tough. I could go guitarist, like
All right, go guitar.
vocalist way more easily. Well, I could go. I mean the legends of guitar like remain. All right.
Sure, but like, who's your favorite?
Yeah.
Hundreds.
My favorite is like honestly,
I'm not saying like the best technically. Like, no one's gonna like hold up a list of this guy can play these
Top
notes
three.
faster.
Top three.
yeah.
But just be like, who's your favorite? Like, what are your favorite bands, and then who's the guitarist for those bands?
Well, I'm a huge, like, this is a gimme, but I'm like a huge Zeppelin fan.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so Paige and what's the drummer's name for Zeppelin?
I have no idea. I'm not a big Zeppelin
But
fan.
like, I love some Zeppelin.
And then singer, but I think also rapper works. Ooh, let's do singer and rapper.
Man,
Oh, and that's the thing. There's
I
so
want
many
to have better,
genres.
I want to
Yeah.
have better answers than
There's
this.
so many
So
genres.
like female vocalist, I'm gonna go Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston.
Yeah, like I'm up there with
Now,
her.
attracted to Whitney Houston. I thought she was so fucking hot.
She was so hot until she fucking went to jail.
Fucking Bobby Brown, man. Fuck Bobby Brown.
Did you see that? She sang the national anthem at a football game.
Yeah,
There
the
was
Super
a
Bowl.
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I never.
And like the Jets flew over. She's wearing like a tracksuit. Yeah,
So-
amazing.
So my girlfriend showed me that like a couple months
It was
ago,
unbelievable.
and she was telling me because like Whitney Houston obviously and Bobby had their problems with cocaine, whatever. She's like,
Okay.
she saw an interview and apparently she was high as fuck going
During
out
that
there.
performance.
Yeah, and arguably one of her best
Well,
performances.
so when she sang, it was some music award. What's the big? It's not the Oscars. It's not the Grammys. Is it the Grammys? So she did
Grammys.
the "I Will Always Love You"
Grammys.
on that,
Yes,
and it
that-
like was the most
She brought the house
amazing
down.
performance ever.
House down.
Yeah.
Just blew the roof off, and that to me was like kind of the icing on the cake as far as
Oh,
the best female vocalist
Yeah.
ever.
Sorry, Jeff.
Anyway,
Oh no, I'm
So Jeff
taking, I'm
answered.
taking the time to make notes. I gotta say, like, I grew up with rap and punk mostly.
okay,
And so I think like the best lyricist for me is Nas. Like that's the best.
Ooh.
That's the best lyricist.
Yeah.
solid.
I think Jay-Z came after that, and West Coast had like a better vibe, a better bump, like a better beat.
Better flow. Yeah.
But like the G-Funk and like all the West Coast stuff was
Yeah.
like secondary to the words that were being put down. And I would even go deeper to like break down. I think Nas was like, development of like Goody Mob or Mob Deep and like Jam Master Jay and all the guys that came before. Like
Sure.
all that old school East Coast rap, I think made Nas. But I think if I had to put down like lyricist, I go Nas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is like I'm a West Coast guy
All
saying
right, that's
that.
your answer then. It's
So
Seal.
vocalist, I think I'm gonna stick with Whitney Houston.
Got ya.
Male vocalist, I wonder who I would go with, but like, that's a tough one, dude. Like lead singer, I would probably just go lead singer. I might go Chris Cornell just because
Ooh,
just
good,
because I
good.
grew up in that era and
totally.
like Soundgarden, like there's not been a sound since then. I
No,
don't think since.
No, and what was that compilation group that they did where he was the lead singer?
Yeah,
It was very good.
I had it on the tip of my tongue, so you said
They
it.
did one song that was just unreal. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Jeff, you look it up. Spencer, to you.
Man, it's such a hard question to answer because, like Jeff was saying, like there's so many genres and there's so many
Sure.
different aspects.
People of the dog or audio slave.
Audio Slave.
Audio slave.
Yeah. And it's like that's a genre that I've not explored very much, like that old punk music and
I don't even know if I would call Audio Slave punk. I
No,
would
they're
call it
like
rock.
grunge,
Yeah.
like light rock.
yeah.
I wouldn't say light rock. I would just say hard rock. I wouldn't even call it.
That's fair.
I would
Yeah.
say hard rock.
Yeah.
I need to expand into that too, because like
Well, it was such a brief thing. I think they only did like one album.
Well, but it was a thing. They did like a couple super groups. They did like
Yeah.
Audio Slave,
Temple of the Dog.
Temple of the Dog.
Yeah.
It was like Velvet Revolver.
Velvet
There was like a few little like super groups.
there's plenty I know all
Right.
the bands, but not I couldn't tell you a single song.
But if
This
you
is
heard
also-
the songs, you would know the
Probably,
song, but you
yeah.
just would put them together.
This is also right when the internet was coming out. So like you didn't really have a way to like follow musicians unless you were a music
Totally.
head, unless you
Yeah.
like went to shows, talked music and
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is too, back then, like to go to shows, how did you know that a show was even happening?
yeah.
totally
Like
flyers.
flyers, maybe you heard it on the radio station.
Yeah.
If you lived near a venue and you drove by and maybe it was on the marquee. I mean, like it wasn't one of those things where you'd like get an update. Your favorite artist is in your
Good
neck of
point.
the woods.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a lot easier these days to follow artists.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yes.
All right, so
So favorite drummer, best drummer. I mean, Chad Smith, Chili Peppers, obviously.
I think he's
a-
up
a
there for
great,
sure.
but I also love Lars Ulrich.
oh yeah,
Metallica.
yeah, he's pretty amazing.
I know
for
it's
the
still
same
like it's
reason.
fucking Napster shit, dude. Can we just fucking like live and let be?
Yeah, exactly.
Dude,
man.
I know.
Yeah, I mean that's the side. Like I don't care.
All right, guitar.
Just like Rush, man. Like,
He's
he was the same. Like he was one of the he
No,
used
Lars
a
is right.
he uses
Lars
single
is right.
pedal, for the same shit the guys were using double pedals for, and just one of the
Nice call out.
quickest.
All right, so guitar, rapper, male and female
Oh,
vocalist.
guitar. Fuck, man, that's hard. I like so many of them. Like, people are gonna
See,
judge me
it's
for
not
this, but,
easy, dude. I'm
No,
telling
it's
you.
a pop.
Like,
It's absolutely fine. And there's no wrong or right answer.
I
I'm
know,
curious.
especially on the fly. I can't even think
Yeah.
of all my favorite.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, obviously,
That's
like,
good.
I mean,
That's
I
good.
like Buddy Guy.
Yeah,
Clapton,
sure.
Hendrix, Stevie, but
Mhm.
another like one of my favorites that I was so surprised by was I grew up, my sister listened to John Mayer.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that
Well,
guy can
like he was
fucking
like,
play.
it was like all that, that kind of like broy acoustic kind of music,
But he can play anything.
But man, like I saw the Crossroads Music Festival,
Yeah.
Clapton's festival, and they did it in Chicago
Mhm, yep.
one time. And just listening to John Mayer just riff and just play outside of the studio, man.
He's got a really nice
Very
flow.
hard.
The way that he like flows on his guitar,
smooth.
it's seamless. Yeah.
So
He's soulful. He's like reminds me of like I don't know which came before, but like Gary Clark Jr. where
Gary
it's
Clark
like
Jr.
you know that kid grew up sitting on the stoop of a step in New Orleans,
See, I disagree.
listening to.
Awesome.
Well, I know Gary Clark,
Gary Clark
Jr. was, yeah,
I feel like John Mayer is one of these kids that is just like a music savant
yeah.
and took like all the guitar lessons,
Probably went to all the best, classes.
whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
but maximize.
But maximize. Yeah, he was
Nailed
not like
that
it's
shit.
not like we gave you
talent meeting opportunity.
Totally.
Taken to the Kobe Bryant
Yeah,
level.
and then also to like put his own into it because he
No,
definitely
but
has his
that's
own
what I meant by
style.
sitting on the stool step or
Sure.
the stoop of
Which
the
is so
chair.
crazy
Is that
about
like he's got that soulfulness?
what's so
You're like,
crazy about guitar
you
is
don't
like
get that in school.
like when you hear someone sing, like everyone has their own voice, right?
Yeah.
But when someone plays a guitar, you can give five different guys the exact same guitar, and all five guys are going to sound differently
exactly
on the
what's
exact same instrument. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what makes such a great guitar player
Yeah.
is you're not mimicking someone else. Because like I know people that can play like Stevie. I know people that can play like John
right.
Mayer,
Could
but
get
they're
those
not
beats down.
exactly.
Yeah.
But they don't have the same flow. They don't have the same rhythm. They don't have that same kind of smoothness.
Yeah, and that adds to what Jeff was saying. Like he sat there probably listening to every one of those artists that played the guitar.
Totally.
he
And
was
probably
all
initially-
of that,
And
he
probably-
says with all that.
Yeah, he was probably at 12, 13 years old, could copy them. But then as he got older and kind of found his own wheelhouse, then he started to kind of put his own flavor on everything.
It's funny you guys bring this up and these words because this is exactly how people used to talk about my basketball game.
Oh my God. My God.
They're like, Magic, Chamberlain.
It's clearly trained by the masters.
Yeah, I think that might be a little different, man. No matter how much basketball you sit and watch, I don't know if you're gonna be 6'8" and.
All right, so Spencer, you still owe me a rapper and
Oh, we need a rapper.
male and female vocalist.
Yeah.
And let's wrap this
Male
up.
vocalist, current to this day, Stapleton is one that I'm currently most impressed with.
Ooh.
That-
Chris Stapleton.
that buttery,
Nice.
Ooh.
that buttery voice.
Yeah.
And hearing him live here in Snowmass for jazz, man.
Oh man, that was amazing.
Sounds-
Wasn't
sounds
it?
better.
Shout out Chris
better
Stapleton.
live.
I think he's scheduled for May. I think we're getting him an off season. Yeah, I think he's
No
on the
shit.
show. Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, so shout out Chris. We'll see you in the off season.
Yeah, I mean, one of the few people I've heard live, and it sounds better live than in the
Totally.
studio.
Oh,
It was
nice.
amazing.
Love that.
All right, so give me a rapper and a female vocalist.
Rapper, that's another tough one, but
No, you get just hit it.
rapper, Ludacris, man.
Ludacris.
I think
Luda?
one of the most underrated lyrics.
Fast and Furious. Let's go Ludacris.
His lyrics were
He was famous
phenomenal.
before that.
Phenomenal.
for sure.
His voice is amazing.
The reason that he was in
He
Fast
does
and
have
Furious.
that he has that like DMX like.
But not so much though. It wasn't as aggressive though,
I like how
Or
smooth he
aggressive.
is.
See, there's
I
no
like
smooth.
how smooth he is.
Yeah.
No, but I think he needed to have that like offsetting like bass tone. Like
Yeah, he's
where it'd
gotta
be
be-
like
Yeah, he could throw some gravel
fast,
into
too
it.
furious.
He could throw
Throw
some
out y'all,
Right,
like he kind of has like the whole range.
He did less raspy.
He did a movie.
Yeah, that's
he
fair.
did a movie, and this is a true story where black guy, white wife, they adopted a white kid. Kid was in and out of trouble, like bad kid, fuck
Whose
kid.
white baby is it?
Yeah, I was saying, it's like.
Oh.
Goddamn white baby.
Who's goddamn white baby? Just smoking a cigarette, no fucks. Shout out, Cat.
Shout out, Cat.
No, but it's a true story. He's a pro BMXer. He kind of was a groundbreaking BMX guy. But Ludacris acted in this movie, and it's a true story. And they adopted this kid. Anyway, he became a BMXer.
I like it.
Anyway, all right. So female vocalist.
Female vocalist. I mean, I got to second Jeff on
Whitney.
Whitney, but
All
also Adele. Love her voice.
Can we talk about Erykah Badu? I should add her in there.
Erykah Badu.
She's insane.
I mean, I was gonna list off like 5 of them, like
Yeah.
Lauryn Hill as well.
Oof.
You know, you guys might not like her. She doesn't like y'all.
We love you, Lauren Hill.
Yes, everybody loves her.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, and that's
You
what,
can't hate me for the same reason you love me.
yeah,
Not scheduled for the show though.
Not scheduled
Yeah,
for the show.
Caroline.
yeah,
We'll get her on.
Have your people get at us.
yeah. It's like all this tough, man. You guys understand it's tough to pick. There's so many good ones, but that was it, right?
Yeah, that was
Male,
it.
female.
Yep.
all
No,
of
no,
them.
you still have to do a nope, you got it.
You got
Guitarist.
Yeah.
Bassist, obviously,
Flea, yeah.
Yeah, sock era flea.
Trumpet.
I'm making notes, sock era flea.
Sock era.
Flea.
Sock
There
on
you
your
go.
Spencer.
Sock era for Spencer.
He's going over YouTube and that.
Doesn't like the 90s when they like.
That's too good.
All right, Casey.
For me, drummer Tommy Lee, just kind of he banged Pamela. So that's pretty easy.
Well,
Guitarist,
pretty easy.
I'm gonna go Stevie Ray Vaughan with a very, very, very close Gary Clark Jr. right there in the pocket. And also God, I just fucking said his name. What's his name?
Good job.
Guitarist. Robert Cray. Robert Cray, just really, really smooth, cool guitar guy. And of course BB King. You gotta have BB King in there.
I did that.
BB King is kind of groundbreaking.
Okay, well, you guys suck. You guys have all had like 4 top number 1. Cool.
Well, no,
I was relegated to like 1.
How did
and I
I
had
not
to
BB
do
King?
it on,
BB King used to play every New Year's Eve at Belly Up.
yeah,
Yeah.
he used to.
What, really?
So when
Every-
I knew it was one of his last tours, and my parents, like I said, love music, grew up with music, but they never go to shows. They're like so weird about like getting out of the house and getting dressed. Like they come home from work
Yeah.
and they have their routine. And so I bought him BB King front row tickets to his last tour.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I gave them to him. Wasn't like a wrapped gift. I was like, all right, and your gift is, and I went into my the room that I used to live in. I wasn't living at home at the time,
Yeah.
but came and grabbed the tickets. I was like, and you have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm giving you these tickets right now. These were expensive. This is the last time he's going to be in Illinois.
Off the couch, out the chair.
Right, you
Out the
have
house.
to go.
Yeah, out the house.
And they went, and my dad called me on the way home. He was like, "Thank you."
Epic.
He was
Yeah.
like, "Thank you,
Nice.
thank you, thank you, thank you." He's like, "That
Nice.
was fucking amazing."
Yeah.
Um,
Legend.
That is
legend,
awesome.
total legend.
Well done. Well, hey, Casey, the audience would thank you if you just kept expeditiously moving along.
All right,
Would you
so what do I
like-
got left?
You've spoke opinely about your guitarist,
Um,
your drummer.
All right, so favorite rapper, both Big Boy and Andre 3000, Outkast.
They're known as Outkast. Yeah.
How about-
Right, but
how about-
it's two guys.
How about Andre's flute album that he just dropped?
Unfamiliar. Unfamiliar.
He just dropped it.
I think Outkast is just they're my favorite rappers. All those Outkast albums I think are just great.
Oh, yeah.
Cooler than a polar bear's toenails. Oh hell, there we go again. Tell us about your
Hell yeah.
favorite vocalist.
Female vocalist, Whitney's gonna be hard to beat, but I'm gonna throw Dolly in there because you guys both hit the and I think you guys know who my favorite male vocalist is, Waylon Jennings. Let's go. Just a good old
vocalist
boy.
Dolly and Waylon.
I'd say Waylon country lyricist, vocalist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
I think that's a good
All right, so vocalist,
Good call.
lyricist, Waylon. I think obviously, all right,
Great.
straight. You're exactly right, Chris Stapleton. Like that guy's amazing. Merle Haggard. Merle Haggard can sound like anyone.
What about Cash?
Cash is great, but like I was never a huge Cash guy. Like I love what he did. I loved his music. I loved all the stuff, but I was never big into Cash. Merle can literally sound like Cash, like Waylon, like Willie, like David Allen Coe. Merle, he doesn't get enough respect for
Well, the
how
old
musical
school
he was
country,
and how he could move his voice.
A lot of range.
All the old school country, like Merle's, my go-to. Like I grew up country, like in the Ozarks. So when I got to like rap and punk, I was like so hardcore adverse to like country because I just been around such twangy.
It was shoved down your throat.
That's shoved down my throat. And
Yeah.
it was like Conway, Twitty, and Boxcar
Conway,
Willie.
I'm telling you what, if you want to get laid, put on Conway.
Conway.
Yeah, I'm telling you, no girl, whether you can
Can
talk
we
about a
assist Conway?
sister from the hood that only listens to rap music, you put it on Conway, then pennies come off.
Come on.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh.
Mitch.
What?
Conway
Your
is
sister
the
in the
getting
hood.
it is done.
Maybe I need to go back.
Yeah.
I need to go
Yeah.
back.
Go back to San Diego, play some Conway.
No, I mean, I just had so
Con-
much resistance because
Conway
it's been shoved down
Stokes
my throat
socks.
and it's been such like
Yeah.
twangy country that I just, and I was also around like the worst kind of country boys, the best kind of country boys too, but like,
Yeah.
But like some proper like cousin kissing right next.
yeah, where you're just like, this
I mean,
is
it's
not,
Arkansas.
it's not what I'm trying to do with
Sure,
my life.
sure.
Like,
Well,
yo,
that's-
My dream isn't an 85 Camaro.
That's like
Right,
that's
or
the
my
hardest
cousin.
one for kids.
Right, or my cousin.
The hardest thing for kids, and I'm just gonna say this, and the last thing I'll say, like the best thing you can do for your children is to open their minds up to all
Everything.
different genres
Yeah.
of music.
totally.
There's good music and bad music
In every genre.
in every genre.
Yeah, 100%.
And,
That's
and
true.
let them decide which is good and which is bad.
I will
You
say
know,
this though.
and I guarantee they'll make the right choice.
Oh,
they will
Good
make
music
the right
resonates with
choice.
that.
Good music's just good music. There's-
Fucking knowledge drop at the end of the episode
Well,
about the guests.
I would like to.
My
I would
man.
like to add to that.
Yeah.
One thing that my parents, I wanted to play the guitar since I was a kid, and my dad was like, "Cool, fine, whatever, play the guitar, but it's not important. It's a toy. We're going to work, and we're going to play hockey."
Yeah.
And so it was real. It wasn't really encouraged. It was like, fine, if you have extra time after all the shit I'm going to fill your day up with,
Right.
then maybe whatever.
Right.
But I love my parents. They did a great job. I'm a little bit of a booze bag, but I'm a pretty good human. But
Debatable.
if debatable.
Wait, the booze bag part?
No, that's
debatable.
I can validate
That's
that.
sort of a.
No, but I think you should make your kids play an instrument, regardless of whether they want to or not. They can pick the instrument, but you have to make your kids learn an instrument. Because if you learn an instrument, regardless of the instrument, you'll start to understand music, and I think you'll appreciate it more.
And also just get your brain away from all the others like
Totally,
tactile
it gets
shit.
you off a screen. It gets you doing something, and it's. I think everyone should know a second language, and I think everyone should know how to play an instrument.
So not to extend this too much longer, but I
Yeah,
think,
we gotta
like,
wrap this.
I think one thing that like really did come up. So first of all, they're gonna give you the opportunity in junior high and Spanish, or sorry, junior high and high school
Mhm.
to learn German, French, or Spanish.
Yeah, learn
Use Spanish, don't
Yeah.
be an idiot.
Don't be an idiot.
There are also, most schools will give you the opportunity to play sports, or you have to take an art class, or you have to do music.
Taking our,
You should do all three.
you should
Yeah,
do all three.
You should
absolutely.
do all three.
Absolutely.
And you should lean into that and don't let people around you punk you, because it was not cool to do art when I did art when I was in elementary school.
No, but
And I'll tell you, it shaped who I
Yeah,
am and my
that's
interest
right.
even today.
like Ryan Reynolds could hook up with any girl on the planet, and he was a theater
There you go. And then music, like I played the clarinet. Don't be egotistical about it. Doesn't have to be drums, doesn't have to be manly, doesn't have to be, just find your groove. Find
nerd.
it.
James Walker was our leading running back in high school, and I think he went on to play some semi-pro football. Kid was a badass football player, the fastest kid in our school in track, and he played the flute.
There you go.
And everyone made fun of this dude, and he was one of the baddest athletes I've ever met.
Family story. My uncle, badass football player, played JUCO football after high school, but he literally in high school he played the clarinet just like you. and he would go out and play football, and then halftime the marching band comes out.
Yeah, and he was in the band.
He would go into bed.
Yes,
with his
dude.
pads on and everything, go out there with the marching band.
Power
play
move.
clarinet,
Hell yeah.
And then go back.
I
to
do
the
it
rest
all.
of the day.
That is a power
Okay, well,
move.
now
Oh,
feed
yeah.
me the ball in the
Back
second
it up.
half.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Do
I don't know if
all,
you guys heard
do-
my solo because you were in there listening to Coach, but
He didn't know what was happening in the second half. His plays were up.
already feed me the ball.
Probably give it
I
a
did,
happy
it's
ass, shoot
inspirational.
out.
But this one time at band camp,
Well, and the last thing I will say is like we've talked about this a lot on our podcast, sports.
Mhm.
You know, the ability to like humble yourself to be around other men that may be better, stronger, smarter than you.
Mhm.
Think about this more like, you know, the adult ranks where like somebody might have a 5-year, you know, experience gap on
Sure.
you versus like, you know, this happens actually, I guess, in high school too, but
Mhm.
sports, arts, you know, that includes like
And music,
dancing and
yeah.
music. Yeah, the arts, they kind of lump in those.
take a
together.
theater class, play an instrument, lift weights.
Also, check your own facts. And we love you for listening. As Pat McAfee always says, and I like to steal it, be a friend, tell a friend something nice that might change their life. Boys, appreciate you.
Yeah,
Cheers,
love you,
guys.
boys.
Hell yeah.
Love you.
All right.
See you guys.
Cheers.
Fuck yeah, that was
It's fun, right?
fun.